Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. Over quite a few sections now we're really going to concentrate on the editor, and for the next three sections I'm going to look at some more detailed aspects of using the editor workspace. In the next section we're going to look at the use of panels, and the section after that we're going to look at rulers, the grid and guides. In this section I'm going to look at canvas. If you've used an earlier version of PSE and you're fully aware of how Canvas works and what Canvas is, then you can probably skip this section. However, I've met quite a few people who have used PSE for some time and have never really appreciated that Canvas is there at all. And basically, in the same way that an artist paints on a canvas, a PSE image has a canvas behind it. But most of the time you don't even see that the canvas is there. There are situations, however, where not only is it important to realize that canvas is there, but you can actually use canvas to your advantage, as I'm going to show you, I hope, during this section. Let's start by looking at the size of this image. If I click on the image menu, resize, image size, you can see that it's 6000 by 4000 pixels. And with a resolution of 300 dots per inch, that makes it 20 inches wide and 13 1/3 inches high. You may have noticed on that image menu, when I go to resize, there's an image size, but there's also a canvas size. And if I select canvas size, I'll discover that the canvas size here is exactly the same size as the image size. You note there, 20 inches wide, 13 1/3 inches high. And that's the reason that you can't see the canvas. It's totally behind the image and it's the same size as the image. So let me make the canvas take a bit of a bow with this image. What I'm going to do is, with canvas size selected, I'm going to increase the canvas size. And I'm going to change the width from 20 to 22 inches, so I've added 2 inches, and I'm going to change the height by 2 inches as well. Now watch what happens when I click on OK. Now you can see the canvas all around the image, and it's 1 inch taller and 1 inch wider on each side. You can probably see now a couple of potential uses for this canvas. One of them is that it does make quite a nice frame, and quite often you can make a good simple frame just by extending the canvas behind an image. But also you can put text onto the canvas, and perhaps we could put text into the canvas here and have an arrow pointing to something in the image. It opens up quite a few possibilities, making canvas visible. But one of the things that you may have noticed there was that I don't have to have a white canvas. What I'm going to do is to undo the change that I've just made. I'm going to go back into canvas size again, and this time what I'm going to do is to extend the canvas again, but I'm going to use a different color. At the moment canvas extension color is set to background, and if you look over below the toolbox on the left there, you can see the background color is currently set to white. What I'm going to do, I've got a choice of foreground or background color, white, black or grey or other. But also if I click on this little box here, it brings up a color picker. And I'm going to look at color pickers in a bit more detail later on, but for the moment, let's suppose I wanted, say, something fairly unsuitable. Something like that. Yeah, let's try that color. Once again, I'm going to increase the size. Same as before, click on OK. And now I have a nice sort of iridescent yellow-green kind of color for the canvas. Let's go back into that again. And there's another control in the middle here, a checkbox, relative. And if you don't want to have to work out what the width and height are to add an inch on each side of this image, you can change to using relative units. And you could say, for instance, that the width was to be 4 inches relative to the width of the image, so that's plus 4 inches wider. And the height is going to be 4 inches taller. Now click on OK. And one important point to note here is that that relative 4 inches was relative to the previously increased canvas size. So we already had an additional 2 inches beyond the size of the image. We now have an additional total 6 inches beyond the size of the image. So that's 3 inches of additional canvas on each side. Let me just zoom out a little more so that we can see the full canvas. Let me undo that last change. Now I'm going to go back into canvas size yet again, and this time still with the relative checkbox checked. I'm going to choose a different anchor for this relative change. I'm going to choose the top left hand corner of the image, so I'm going to click there. I'm once again going to have 4 inches of extra width, 4 inches of extra height as well. These two figures don't have to be the same. Now I'm going to click on OK. Now the additional canvas is added to the right and below the image because I set the anchor at the top left hand corner. And again, particularly if you're wanting to put notes on something, maybe even print this out and handwrite notes, it can be a very good way of giving you some extra working space around an image. And now I'm back to the original image, and I'm going to do one more thing. This one might well surprise you. I'm going to click on Image, Resize, Canvas Size. I'm not going to bother to change the canvas extension color. I'm going to stick with relative size, and I'm going to stick with anchored in the middle, but I'm going to make those changes negative numbers, -2 inches and -2 inches. So I'm really making the canvas smaller than the image. When I click on OK, I get a warning. I'm going to click on Proceed. What do you think will happen? Well, 4 marks if you guessed. It basically crops the image. It's a very unusual way of cropping an image, but with an image you can only see what's on the canvas. So if the canvas gets smaller, you're going to lose some image. That's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next one.